Hello, my name is Demetra Kaye of the Demetra Kaye Show and a proud contributor of the African Diaspora News channel. And if you can do me a favor before we get started, and that's like this video and subscribe to both channels if you haven't already, I would greatly appreciate it. So let's get right into it. Now, I know you've heard of the March on Washington and even some riots on Washington, but have you heard of Twerk on Washington? Yes, I said it right. Twerk on Washington. So yesterday, on the day that, the United States decided that they would commemorate Martin Luther King's birthday, Black Lives Matter, the organization, thought they would put up a video called Twerk on Washington. And let me read you why they did it, okay? It says, Twerk on Washington is a declaration of freedom and healing, advocating for the decolonization of sexualizing Black women's body to reclaim an ancient sacred dances of liberation and wellness, sampling the quote-unquote, I Have a Dream by the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., delivering the March on Washington for jobs and freedom. The shame of traditional African practices is not ours. Trauma is kept in the body. Shake it off. That is what they said is the reason that they put Twerk on Washington. And you guys can see the video. Of course, I can only play you a snippet or so because, again, YouTube has its little restrictions and we want to continue doing what we're doing here. So we're just going to show you a little bit. But of course, you can see the stills throughout this video. All right. And so they felt that was the best way to commemorate Martin Luther King's birthday. Now, they also said Patrisse Cullors, who was one of the founding members of Black Lives Matter, said that she is spearheading an initiative to take 2021 and make it all about Dr. Martin Luther King and his works and things like that. And again, Twerk on Washington is the project that she wanted to use to kick it off. So, I'm just as perplexed as you guys are probably watching what I'm describing. But what I want to know is this, y'all. Are we really ready, or finally, I should say, are we finally ready to come to terms with Black Lives Matter is not really for Black people? I mean, just really think about it. Think of the things that they haven't done for Black people. They've used Black Lives Matter to talk about, we're helping Black people. And of course, you guys know they came into inception around the time that Trayvon Martin was murdered by George Zimmerman in 2012. And so, of course, they've catapulted into everything you can think of from that point. But what have they really done to help move the ball for Black people? Name one thing that they've done. Now, maybe I'm just ignorant of the fact, but I would impress upon anybody to name, throw it in the comment section. Name one thing that they've done to actually help move the ball for Black people. Also, we know that during the summer of 2020, when all the protests took place due to the murder of George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, the organization, raised about $1.6 billion. Where is that money? Where is it? Did it go back into the neighborhoods that need the money and the resources? Did it help build anything? Where did the money go? Now, the reason why I'm kind of just, trying to get you guys to think about those things is because that they haven't really answered for what they've done with the 1.6 billion. And that's not even including the money they already had and are still raising to this point. But not only have they not done anything for Black people, they think that it's appropriate to have a Black woman at Washington, everywhere in Washington, the monuments and everywhere you can think of. Not that we care about the monuments in Washington, but really the fact that they have a Black woman twerking her behind all over Washington in front of everybody, kids, women, men, just everybody. And they feel like that's an African expression. Well, it might be a way to express your African self or your African roots, but why do it to the words of Dr. Martin Luther King? Now, you guys can go on Black Lives Matter Instagram because that's actually what the video is, and check it out. And you can hear the words of Martin Luther King mixed into the music as she's twerking her behind all over the place, right? And so when you think of somebody like Martin Luther King, I just would imagine if he is able to see this video or was able to see the video, his eyes would probably roll so far back in his head and think, this ain't the dream I was talking about. As a matter of fact, this is a nightmare. Like, who does that? Also, what I want to know is, why do we as Black people allow organizations to sell us short? Because for anybody who will want to defend what Black Lives Matter is doing by having a twerk on Washington, you ask yourself, why do we allow them to sell us short, to give us that? Like, out of all the things they could have done to commemorate Martin Luther King's birthday and pay homage to him, they thought of a twerk on Washington? Really? Twerk on Washington. And also, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this loudly. I'm not speaking of all Black women. I'm speaking of some Black women. Some Black women. Some Black women are giving the rest of Black women a black eye. And what I mean by that is, of course, we know that most Black women don't, go to Washington or would never even dare think of going to Washington or anywhere for that matter and twerking your behind all over the place. But for the ones who think that's a good idea and the ones that are doing that, we know society tends to lump us together. Again, we're not trying to measure ourselves by what society or white supremacy thinks of us, but it sure does make it hard for the rest of us who are trying to do the right thing, for the rest of us, and I say the rest of us, I mean Black women, who are not twerking our behinds all over the place, who are dressed in a moderate manner, and who can actually use our intelligence to get the point across. They could have said and done so many other things to highlight Martin Luther King's birthday, other than having a Black woman twerking her behind all over Washington. Like, come on. When I first saw that, I was like, surely it's got to be a joke. Surely somebody, some white supremacist group, somebody has hacked into Black Lives Matter. And of course, I saw it all over Twitter. Surely this has got to be a joke. This can't be real life. And you know what? It is real life. I've even had people ask me when I posted it on my Facebook, they said, oh, that's not really Black Lives Matter. And so what I did is I went to their Instagram, I circled the fact that it's their organization with the blue check and all that, and the video to say, okay, this is their organization. I mean, I don't know what you'll believe, but that's truly Black Lives Matter. And so you guys, we have got to do better. You know what? No, stop. Because I know we got to do better as Black people, but that ain't on us. Black Lives Matter does not represent Black people, and go tell everybody you know that Black Lives Matter, the organization, does not represent Black people. And the moment we disassociate completely from Black Lives Matter, the better off we'll be. Let them go serve the people they're really interested in serving. And we know that it's, the alphabet people and everybody else, because if you go on their website, they, not only do they say Black people, but they say everybody else as well. So they're really kind of like an all lives matter organization. But again, let's move all the way from Black Lives Matter, because they do not represent us. All right. And for more insightful commentary, please subscribe to this channel and my channel, The Demetra Kaye Show on YouTube. Peace.